Another example of that, this is really focused more on their robotics in this case. They've got a very robust robotics curriculum, and that's a before school, during the day, and after school curriculum. This is a great example. This is up in Sheboygan, and actually this was a private-public partnership where this was not a referendum project. So I was right. There are some that are not referendum projects in here. This is an example where the community, the manufacturers, and there's a couple of other donors, Ballrath, American Orthodontics, and I'm drawing a blank on one other, who really came to the school district and said, we need to do better bringing students into the world of manufacturing, and manufacturing isn't this dirty, challenging. It's a really technical, highly complex, there's a great deal of learning that has to go on to support it. And so they said, we'll provide the equipment if you provide the space. It's kind of a cool partnership. Now they come in and instruct students and help them understand that manufacturing, and again, this was intentional. They wanted a lot of natural light into it. They wanted a clean, bright, appealing environment to help students appreciate and understand that the pathway of working in a factory isn't always what we perceive it to be. And again, I think we all know, we hear about it all the time, there's a ton of jobs available in areas of advanced manufacturing, engineering, and a lot of these STEM areas. Nursing's a big one. Something as simple as taking a couple of classrooms and converting them to a nursing lab. Giving students the ability to get exposed to what might be a phenomenal career path for them before they get into a collegiate setting where they're paying for it.
We have that at the high school, but
right.
Again, it's in an old English classroom.
And the high school was given $250,000 by a company to start the robotics for manufacturing. So I mean, we have partnerships, but capacity is, I mean, for these amazing programs. And West Bend has like a highly rated career and technical ed department.
We have 2 beds in the class we're talking about.
But Marine Park has a really big unit, and so does Cedar Community, so it's not like it's needed in the high school.
Marine Park would love for us to expand our building. Because they come out to us.
Businesses are coming to us.
We want the kids to be exposed before they graduate.
Exactly.
This is, again, an example, and I have a sneaking suspicion most of us probably went to school, we sat at a desk, we faced a chalkboard, teachers lectured to us for 35, 40 minutes. This is kind of an example of where teaching and learning is going, which is, I will admit, is hard to imagine for most of us. This is a room that, again, is transformed. This is a phenomenal teacher. That's the #1 thing. Get a great teacher. Support them. This individual gives 5 to 10 minutes of instruction, and then this room just transforms. It is students working on projects in small groups. You can see there's power spread around the room that they can drop down if they need power. There's students working with monitors mounted on the walls on the back side in small groups on designing things. The faculty member here is working on helping students with the actual construction side of it. So it's just a great example of how this is just not a classroom any of us ever would have learned in. And it's the reality of, I think, where a lot of teaching and learning is going. And buildings should, over time, react to support this type of learning. This is an elementary STEM classroom. So teaching kids that are in a pre-K through 2 setting, getting them into understanding the basics of engineering. Pretty neat space. Better curriculum. Pretty cool. All right. I will say that category of STEM and STEAM is probably the most consistent area that almost every district, doesn't matter what size, doesn't matter what geography, that's an area that almost every one of our clients are asking about. You know, what can we do? Our community's clamoring for X, Y, or Z. We need to produce more of a certain type of student with interest in areas, and so that is one area that we see probably the most attention paid across the state.